Hey people, Dave here, wearing my Dan Vogel disguise so I can look really studious. Actually, so I can see myself. In today's video, I want to cover a few things. The main thing I want to do is I want to introduce an article written by Sarah Newcomb on her Lamanite Truth .com website. So I'm probably going to just sample it, read certain portions of it. Sarah's done a lot of research into the effect of Mormonism on Native Americans due to her heritage and her life experiences, and she wrote an article regarding manifest destiny doctrine, which I talk about sometimes also, especially as it is adapted to the LDS theology. So she reacted to I think it was a BYU Education Week talk or something by one of Gordon B. Hinckley's sons, if I'm not incorrect. And so she put some stuff together for us. And so I want to take a look at that. Yeah, anyway, I know this is primitive because I'm just using my phone and I'm trying not to blow out all the data here. So I just put it on the picture thing, and then I'm going to go to screen capture mode. Actually, I am using screen capture, and that's why it's doing what it does. So sorry for that. I don't have the big money backing me that Kwaku and the boys do. So why do they have a producer? Why do they have a set? Who funds this and why? Well, so we were told, Jonathan Streeter told us who that was. It was an LDS businessman type funded foundation, the More Truth Foundation, the More Bullshit Foundation, maybe. And so yesterday we looked at some of the mind games these guys were playing to get you to listen to their message of a much softened approach to the one true church doctrine, and we found that they contradicted LDS scripture. So thanks to everybody that watched that and commented or shared, all that sort of a thing. Really, it takes participation to spread the truth about what's actually going on, because guys like me get shadow banned. That's pretty obvious. You see these people just popping up and they've got like more views than I do, and it's ridiculous. Anyway, it is what it is. So let's get to it. Let's take a look at that article. Maybe we'll look at some other stuff from my YouTube Creator Studio that I might want to share, but I've got some other things that I have to accomplish to survive here, and I'm probably going to do this on limited time today. All right, here we go. Wow! Gone. No, I'll just show a little bit real quick off of my stuff here. So we got 177 views there, but look at this, people. Check this out. Yeah, I'm sure all kinds of people get way more views, but that's on yesterday's video. But look, we got 2,800 minutes there. Excuse me, 2,800 minutes. So people are spending up almost 20 minutes on average for every person that clicks. 20 minutes or 19 minutes, something like that was the average of looking at the video from yesterday. Kwaku and token white privilege sidekicks busted lying about LDS one true church doctrine on video. And yeah, they absolutely contradicted LDS scripture, trying to tell us that that it's not church doctrine, that we are not taught that people that go to other churches instead of the LDS go to hell. But clearly section 76 of the Doctrine and Covenants states that they do go to hell. It just says that they don't stay there forever. Yeah, anyway, not going to redo that today. What we're doing is we're going to take a look at some portions of Sarah's article. So I want to make sure you know how to get to it. So it's LamaniteTruth.com. You can see up there. And so to get to where we are here, I went up in the menu here on the upper left, clicked it, and I went to current article. Otherwise, you're going to get the home page. So current article, and this is brand new. And this is Sarah's response to Manifest Destiny taught at BYU Education Week. Some of the research that she has done. So she gets in here and starts talking about what Manifest Destiny is, and you can look at that yourself. And then she's reacting, saying, how is it that this guy is like okay with this horrendous stuff? Basically praising Christopher Columbus, as the Book of Mormon does, and as has been done in LDS, theology. He's just so important because he was helping, bring the restoration of the gospel of Jesus Christ to the Americas, to these goddamn savages, Basically, that's how the American Indians are being portrayed here. And so, Sarah's highlighting the fact that Manifest Destiny doctrine claims to be somehow benevolent, where, God is just benevolently having the imperial British forces exterminate most of her people. Genocide is benevolent because, the people that are left over, they'll be good Christians later, and it's all worth it at the end. Hell, they'll probably baptize their deceased family for the dead, right? I don't know. It all just turns out wonderfully in the end, as long as you trust Jesus Christ, right? So you can, she's detailed so much good information in here. And one of the things that she has also done that I particularly find useful to look at, so far as Mormonism is concerned, it discusses the actions of Brigham Young, the butcher. We're conditioned to believe through the correlated lesson materials in the church. Oh, he was just a practical and strong and a stern guy, Brigham. He was a no-nonsense guy, but that's what the saints needed. No, this guy made Hitler look like, a fucking Girl Scout some of the time, okay? The shit that this guy did was horrendous, as well as what Columbus did. We're talking about, it's just sick, okay? I've already told you about the ground glass being given as gifts and shit like that. And then she's going through and talking about, showing how, the stuff that Columbus and his boys did, chopping off people's hands and shit like that. Unbelievably barbaric. And that's how we civilize people. Because what civilize means, really, I think, when you get down to it, means assimilate you into the ruling society that has conquered your people. It doesn't mean what is implied. Implied means you hold your knife and fork right at the table. You're civilized. You're not a savage. So the people that are conquered are portrayed as less thans, that need the help. They need to be nurtured. They need to be nursed by the Gentiles. And that's what the doctrine where Isaiah is saying, that the Gentiles will be their nursing mothers and fathers and all this kind of bullshit. So these people are being redeemed from their state of spiritual darkness because they didn't accept Jesus fucking Christ, okay? And we all know that Christians are better than everybody else. That's why they had the fucking crusades and go and kill people. That's why they had the Inquisitions. That's why they burned people at the stake, because, it's in your own best interest, to eliminate people and torture them and give lessons to people. It's called the same type of terrorism that is used in communist nations. So here's the story here with Brigham and under Brigham's direction. We've got the types of things that are like Mountain Meadows Massacre, which, as usual, the apologists try to say, that was just some rogue person, some bad person. They started that. It was, it's all John D. Lee's fault or something like that. But that's not the way it is. The way it is that people get taught shit from the top, and there's a lot that's directed from the top that, they eliminate some evidence as to who does what. So here we've got story number 3 here. It says, indigenous families caught in the war. It says, after the killings, Dr. James Blake, with the help of 2 militiamen, decapitated the dead and used their bodies for research. The decapitated heads were sent to Fort Utah and hung on display in front of the prisoners. The heads on display in front of prisoners. The prisoners were predominantly women and children. Can anyone say PTSD? Yeah, they're traumatizing children with this shit. The settlers had another meeting, and it was decided among them to kill the remaining captured Indian people. One by one, they were led out of the cellar, 24 in all, women, men, and children, and one by one, their throats were cut from ear to ear. That reminds me of the temple. And their bodies held to the ground until they bled to death. 2 young boys and 1 girl, 7 or 8 years of age, feeling the horror, decided to try to make their escape. When the door was open for the next victim, the 3 of them made a break, forced their way past the guards, and ran. The guards fired several shots at children, at the 3, but were unable to hit them. 1 was shot in the side, but the bullet barely grazed his rib, not enough to stop him. All of the Paiute males, 5 women, 2 older children, were killed. I mean, she's got, incident after incident here where people are being executed as, Brigham Young thought that these people were just, savages. And who was Brigham Young representing there? Was he backed by Kuhn and Loeb? Did he meet with Pierre, what the hell his name was, that Jesuit that also was meeting with Albert Pike, another high-level Freemason, just like Brigham Young? The whole Mormon creation of this church, or some people think it was just hijacked by Brigham Young, and that Joseph Smith was not in on that business. He was enslaving people, enslaving girls sexually in the spiritual wife system, hundreds and hundreds of them in Nauvoo. But the conversation never goes there. The rest of the people don't talk about this shit because they're part of controlled opposition. Just like the Protestant Reformation was. When they know there's going to be an issue, they create their own opposition. That's why you have guys like Ross Perot. Just led people into oblivion. It's a pattern, people, that the elites have been using, and that's how they use religion to mind-wash people into obedience, to deify their leaders or the offices of the leaders in a republic, such as we have, which is just another word for corporation. Anyway, that's just a little sample of, in that case, some of the heinous deeds. Here we've got Manifest Destiny, Power, and Resources Under the Banner of God, Journal Discourses. In 1871, Brigham Young stated, "There is a curse on these aborigines of our country who roam the plains and who are so wild that you cannot tame them. They are of the house of Israel. They once had the gospel delivered to them. They had oracles of truth. Jesus came and administered to them after his resurrection, and they received and delighted in the gospel until the 4th generation, when they turned away and became so wicked that God cursed them with this dark and benighted and loathsome condition. And they want to sit down on the ground in the dirt and to live by hunting, and they cannot be civilized." So that's the kind of sewage that you had coming out of Brigham Young's mouth in General Conference, mind-washing the saints that believe that he speaks for a deity. Yeah. Can you imagine, what the minds of children and adults were conditioned to believe, and how much they would not value these people? Why, they'd probably treat them the way a Franciscan monk might. These Catholic missions were freaking death camps, okay? They tortured these American Indians. They slow cooked, they roasted some of them, unless of course they accepted Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, conversion. Who needs the Spirit when you can torture people and use these types of of, um, of traumatic, terroristic techniques and methods for subjugating a people and assimilating them into your culture. Then, of course, the Mormon Church continued assimilating the American Indians with the Indian Placement Program, where they lived with civilized Mormon people, and basically we're becoming, culturally reconditioned. So I encourage people to go to Sarah's article and partake of the details. There are just so many things that she has brought together through her, effort and research, and this is a really good resource to see what Mormonism really did to Native Americans. And she, of course, relates sometimes her personal experiences in how psychologically damaging and torturous it is to be someone who's considered a Lamanite in the church growing up. A lot of us who were not considered Lamanites may not have had the perspective and felt the feelings of what it's like to be someone who's trying not to get their suntan any darker, because that's just a sign of what a piece of shit you are. Basically, that's why God cursed them, because they were bad people, and so he cursed them with a skin of darkness. We can't really explain why God didn't also put in the Book of Mormon that people of Native American descent had other genetic characteristics. Their skulls might be different from someone that's Caucasian. There are other factors, but I guess whoever wrote the Book of Mormon didn't take that stuff into account. That maybe a forensic whatever. Anyway, don't know what happened to my vocabulary there. So there are more differences in how a person of a East Asian race would have than just skin color. Just one of the many things that just make you look at this shit in the Book of Mormon and say, you gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. How did I ever believe this bullshit? But, we were conditioned. Many of us from the time we were pretty young. For me, I can't claim to be conditioned in the Mormon aspect from being a small child, although I did read the Bible since I was like 4 years old, and I concluded that God was a dick. I didn't really want anything to do with him. He was cruel. He was always killing people. Certainly not a loving heavenly father. But you get a good Freemason in front of people who's an NLP master, he can make you believe all kinds of crazy shit. Next thing you know, it's all about pay, pray, and obey. So I'm going to leave it at that. Go read her article and explore her website. She's done a lot of research that will be very useful in helping you to document to other people who are naive, as we once were, regarding a lot of aspects of Mormonism, and in this case, the Manifest Destiny doctrine that teaches us, it's all God's plan in restoring the gospel. America is such a free and wonderful place. And it's all part of the plan. If you read the Book of Mormon carefully, you find out that, they're just, it's basically saying God justified the massacre of the American Indians. They were scattered and smitten because they had dwindled in unbelief, and the wrath of the anger of the Lord was kindled against people who never knew about their goddamn religion. And so that's like holding you, responsible for Adam's transgression, but that's not what we are told in the Articles of Faith. Only you women get held accountable for what Eve did. And that's why you have to just Bow your head and say yes, and then spread your legs and say yes. Make babies. Because it is through childbearing that the woman is saved. That's what's taught in the Bible. Because why? Because Paul said, because Eve partook of the fruit first, not Adam. So, you want to talk about contradictory, hypocritical bullshit. Manifest Destiny Doctrine, Book of Mormon Doctrine, and the Articles of Faith. They make a mix where cognitive dissonance becomes necessitated and alcoholism is almost inevitable. All right, I'm going to sign off 20 minutes in. Remember, you know what to do, right? Like it, subscribe, make some comments, share it with people, and go to Sarah's website and arm yourself with information that will prove to your friends that Brigham Young was a first-class asshole and a mass murderer, not just a stern and practical prophet that the saints needed. Nope, you've been lied to. Now pay your tithing, you bitches, right? Nope. Fuck you, Russell Nelson. I'm out.